Well, good morning, NC AIDS Action Network friends and family. This is Executive Director of NC AIDS Action Network, Lee Storo. We are a little after 10 o'clock, literally 5 days before the last day of voting. Early voting is continuing for 3 more days in North Carolina. And then, as we all, I think, know at this point, on November 3rd, we have polls open all day long. So voting is happening this week. It's exciting. We are thrilled and energetic to be part of the effort and have a lot going on we're supporting in these final 5 days. I am really honored and so appreciative that one of NC AIDS Action Network's favorite friends and family members, Saylor Jones from Democracy NC, when I know he has so many things on his calendar, agreed to jump on this webinar and give us a briefing about the latest in voting and democracy and everything going on in the state. I have seen Saylor traversing across North Carolina at like every poll site from New Hanover. I assume you're going to make it to Western North Carolina at some point if you haven't already. But really honored to get a quick briefing from Saylor on what Democracy NC is doing and what everybody needs to know in these final days to make sure they get out their vote, get the ballot counted, and all that. So without further ado, Saylor, I'm going to pass it to you to give us the 411 and all the info we need to know in these final days about voting.
Thank you, Lee. I'm going to share my screen really quickly. Anything for NCAN, of course. Lee always has perfect timing. This is where we're at. If you want to find the slides that I'm sharing with you, they are at demnc.co/oct29 update, and we can drop that in the chat box. These slides are worth sharing on social since things are changing all the time. And these are the four things that I'm going to talk about very briefly in about 15 minutes. Mostly people are asking, and Lee's been on the hotline, he can tell you about what voting is actually looking like. One, when people drop off their absentee ballots. Two, when they go to do curbside voting. Three, when they're going to their voting room. People want to know what it's going to look like in this unprecedented election cycle. I'm going to give you the very latest on voting rules, which changed again last night or didn't, as the case may be. How absentee voting and the massive absentee voting by mail effort that's been happening will impact our elections. And last but certainly not least, how you can get involved in post-election work to make sure every single vote counts in this state. So this is me. You can reach me at saylor@democracync.org if you have any questions that aren't answered by this presentation. And I just want to talk to you briefly about what happened last night. We learned it a little after 8 p.m. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled in a 5-3 ruling that absentee ballots in North Carolina that are postmarked by November 3rd at 5 p.m. As everybody knows, that's the deadline now. It's election day at 5 p.m. to have your absentee ballot mailed and postmarked. For those who are not handing them in, hand delivering them, you have until November 12th for the county to receive and count that ballot. So assuming that the absentee ballot is eligible, it's good, it has all the signatures in the right place, it is sealed, it is witnessed, your vote will count if it is received by November 12th, assuming it is postmarked by November 3rd at 5 p.m. This is huge, especially considering the fact that just a few days before, the Supreme Court went the opposite way in Wisconsin, saying that those ballots, even if they come in or postmarked by election day, will not count if they are received after election day. So a big deal in North Carolina, and makes North Carolina maybe even more of a swing state than we already are, because our voting rules are a little bit more accessible this year. So that's a huge deal, and a big deal for people who are waiting to the last minute to get in their absentee ballots. Voting by mail, obviously the voter registration deadline ended on October 9th, and in order to vote by mail, you have to be registered, but you can register and vote at the same time during early voting. As Lee said, we still have some days left of that. It concludes on October 31st, Halloween at 3 p.m. October 27th, the absentee ballot request deadline has passed as well as of the 27th, as of this week. So if you have not requested your absentee ballot, you do need to vote in person. And if you do have your ballot or it is on the way, you can return that ballot in person to any county early voting site you would normally vote at in person. You cannot return it to your election day precinct. So again, if you wait until November 3rd and you want to hand deliver your absentee ballot rather than putting it in the mail because you don't trust the mail, you can only hand deliver it to your county board of elections. You can also deliver it to your county board of elections today and any time ahead of that November 3rd at 5 p.m. deadline. But you can also send it to your early voting site. Many people are posting on Twitter that there is a special line for them when they go to drop off their absentee ballot, so they do not have to wait in that in-person line. So that's a great thing. So I hear it on the evening news every single night now. The time, I think Eric Holder said it this week, the time to mail in your ballot has passed. A lot of states are worried about getting ballots in by election day. As I said before, the Supreme Court made it possible. If you postmark your ballot by November 3rd at 5 p.m. in North Carolina, you have the 12th to get it in. So that's kind of a big deal for us and may extend the results in our state by at least a week. So we'll talk about that in just one second. These are some of the most frequently asked questions. Lee and I were talking about some of the questions he's been getting on the hotline. It's everything from, does North Carolina verify voters' signatures between their absentee ballot and their registration? No. To, can my spouse witness my ballot? Absolutely yes. In fact, almost anyone above 18 years of age can witness your ballot. And remember, you need a witness signature, them to print their name and their address on your ballot for it to be valid. If I request a ballot but want to vote in person, can I? Absolutely. About 1,600 people, or 1.6 million people have requested an absentee ballot. Only 800,000 have actually voted by mail thus far. So there are a lot of people who are holding on to that ballot and may want to vote in person. They absolutely can. You just destroy your ballot at home and go vote in person as normal. Can someone drop off my absentee ballot for me at the County Board of Elections or an early voting site? Not anyone can. A near relative can, and that's a legal term. To find out who is a near relative for the purposes of our law, go to ncvoter.org. How much is postage? Forever stamp or 55-cent stamp. But if you talk to experts, you don't need postage. You need to hand deliver your absentee ballot if you can. So these are the frequently asked questions. People are voting by mail in record numbers. Nearly 20% of all registered voters have requested a ballot, and about half that many have voted that way. 800,000 people plus have voted that way. And the statewide acceptance rate for those ballots is between 98 and 99%. This is important, friends. We are hearing a lot of things that absentee ballots, voting isn't working in North Carolina, nor is it anywhere else. I just want to let you know, thanks to our research from the primary, we know at Democracy NC that normally the state average are in the 80% range. So the fact that we're near 100% acceptance of ballots speaks to a great cure process that we have, speaks to the fact that all of our voter education work is working as well, and that absentee is working as well. So that's good news again in North Carolina. I want to talk for a few seconds on early voting before I toss it back to Lee, because early voting to me is the most important thing. We'll all be at an early voting site later today for a reason. We have now until October 31st at 3 p.m. to vote early in person. Over 3 million people already have. Over 50% of North Carolinians who are eligible to vote have taken advantage either through in person or absentee. This year, we have more sites in all counties, more hours in all counties. Obviously, you can register and vote at the same time only during early voting. And so for people who miss that registration deadline and who are concerned about their registration status, use early voting or else. Finally, curbside voting is available at any in-person voting site, whether it's election day or early voting. But you can do, as I said before, dropping off your absentee ballot during early voting. So expanded curbside voting for people who are concerned about their health. And you can also drop off your absentee ballot in person if you're concerned about the mail. I hope only 3 people will vote on election day, and those are candidates looking for a photo op. But for those who are waiting, voters must vote at their specific precinct on election day. And I'll show you how to look that up in a minute. The hours are 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. And friends, write this down. If you are in line by 7:30 p.m., you get to vote. You may be standing in line for a while, but you can absolutely cast your ballot. Others need to know, and this is important, pro tip, more weekend hours, more PPE at the polls. It's as safe as going to the grocery store, if not safer, friends. I voted in Orange County last week, and it was about as safe as I've been in the last 6 months going to that voting site. So I just want to emphasize, please, 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 if you have concerns, use curbside, but absolutely, you can go in person and be safe. To find your in-person voting sites, you can go to demnc.co/vote early and find all the sites available in your county. All the staff there are wearing masks. Masks are provided to you. I got to take home my own pen because no one else could get to use it. I was encouraged to use hand sanitizer, and everybody else did. And we were socially distanced when we went in. So that's what you'll see when you go. We also have safer curbside. If you can't go in the voting room due to age, physical or mental disability, if you cannot wear a mask for any reason, and if you have COVID symptoms or underlying susceptibility to COVID, you can use curbside voting. But keep in mind, no poll worker should inquire about your underlying health issue that keeps you from going into the voting room. And if you have problems, call our voter hotline at 888-RVOTE. There's a lot of way to cure your ballot. I won't go through all of them, but just know if you don't sign in the right place, if your witness doesn't sign in the right place, if they miss their printing their name or put the address in the wrong place, you can cure your ballot. The only thing that can't cure a ballot and means it'll be reissued is a missing witness signatures. So follow your absentee instructions carefully, sign your name as the voter, have the witness sign their name, print their name, put their full address, seal it completely, and you can hand deliver it to an early voting site or county board of elections. Voter intimidation is a big issue on people's minds as we go to the ballot on the last days of early voting and on election day when lines will be longest. So as Lee will tell you, there are a lot of organizations out there that are working to stamp out voter intimidation, ours included. And so I won't go through that list, but I just want to let you know that these vote protectors and these yellow t-shirts have been planning for months and months to be out to protect your vote. They're roving around, they're in person at polls. They will connect you to 888-RVOTE if you have problems or questions. We are gathering information for litigation and legislation. We are preparing for the post-election canvass to count every vote. But on election day and the last day of early voting, we will be out in force, and there will be 2,200 of us during early voting. There will be 1 in 4. So 1 in 4 precincts, and keep in mind there are nearly 3,000. We'll have a vote protector there to help you if you have problems or questions. We will be deployed in every single county of the state. We've never been able to do that, and this year we are. And we'll be there stationary in the traditional poll monitoring vote protector role and driving around to help you at different sites. So it's a great program. You can also call our nonpartisan hotline, and we'll be live with the hotline now through the day of canvass, which is November 13th. So you can get information at NC Voter. You can call us at 888-RVOTE. And this is really important. We got to count every ballot. So just make sure, we need to make sure that officials have the time they need to count every ballot. And so I'll be preaching, and I hope you will too. Share this slide on social. We need to preach patience. We need to shift expectations about when the results will come in, and we need to agree, regardless of what political party we're in, that we should count every single vote and make sure everyone's voice is heard. And apparently polling says when we say this exact line, people's fears are alleviated. They don't think fraud is delaying the count, and they don't listen to politicians that say they won when every vote hasn't been counted. So we need to make sure every vote counts, and we need to be preaching this. We'll be at the day of canvass on November 13th. Remember, the day of canvass happens 10 days after election day. That's when all of the absentee ballots are finally counted and more. And so we'll be monitoring those as well to make sure we count every vote. If you would like to be a canvass monitor in your county, go to demnc.co/canvass and sign up today. We'll send you your assignment. It's easy peasy, and all you have to do is take notes about what happens at the meeting. It's a great opportunity to help make sure every vote is counted in your county. Finally, demnc.co/vote early is where you find your vote early sites now through October 31st. demnc.co/lookup is where you find your election day precinct and your sample ballot, by the way. That apparently there will be a 10-foot one in Orange County today, but you can find a much smaller one at demnc.co/lookup. And finally, last but certainly not least, if you don't know who to pick, we have nonpartisan voter guides at demnc.co/voter guide. These are all the hotlines you need to know. Feel free to share this slide on social media, and I'll drop in the chat box where these slides are so you can do so. And with that, I'll turn it over to Lee for more.
Saylor, thank you so much. Let's all give a round of applause for, or silent hand waves for Saylor. We've had Saylor do a couple webinars with us. Saylor was very kind to join a regional webinar we did through the Southern AIDS Coalition. We just have rock star partners at Democracy NC. We're really lucky to have such a strong voting rights advocacy organization in North Carolina. And I know the high turnout that we're going to have in this state this year is really largely due to the work that they've been doing over the last couple weeks, couple months. So Saylor, thank you again.
Thanks, Lee.
We're going to run through for folks at home just what some of the opportunities are with NC AIDS Action Network in these final days. You know, one of the ways I've been framing this election is it's not just about election day. We are in an election right now, and Tuesday is just the final day of a long, long series of election activities. So as Saylor alluded to, poll sites open today, tomorrow, and Saturday. NC AIDS Action Network has 5 events happening across the state to help protect our poll sites and make sure our poll sites are safe. We have partnered with Blueprint North Carolina, as Saylor alluded to, through a major initiative that they've done and have over 500 early voting and election day sites on Tuesday being covered with events that are focused on safety, about protection, about encouraging people to vote, and about pushing back against voter intimidation. We've got some really cool stuff happening in Orange County today and tomorrow. We are hosting 2 parties at the polls called Orange You Glad You Voted Early. There are going to be orange balloons. There are going to be orange t-shirts. There are going to be orange stickers. There are going to be bagels. The bagels are not going to be orange. They're going to be red, white, and blue, which still feels in the theme, even if it's not the Orange County color. Are over the course of today at Town Hall in Carrboro, starting at noon and going till 7:30, and then all day today, tomorrow, from 8 a.m. until 7:30 p.m. at the Chapel of the Cross voting site, which is right next to Moorhead Planetarium, adjacent to the UNC campus, going to be hosting Orange You Glad You Voted. We have a 9, maybe 10-foot ballot, which is the largest ballot, we believe, in the state of North Carolina, that's going to be happening over the course of this election, that you can take a selfie with, that you can take a picture with, that you can point to your favorite candidate on the front of that ballot. We're going to have I Voted balloons. We're going to have a ton of fun photo opportunities. And we're also going to have some musicians and performers out over the course of this afternoon and then tomorrow in Chapel Hill, culminating with a performance from Naomi Dix, drag star of the House of Cox in Durham. I heard she might be dancing at the Moorhead Planetarium sundial. I heard a rumor that Lizzo might be showing up tomorrow. I will say that that rumor was generated by me and confirmed by no one else, but I've been putting it out into the world and people seem to believe me for some reason. But it is going to be, I think, both really exciting and really fun, but also something that's really important. Myself, our staff who are going to be there, our volunteers, are also trained to make sure that these voting sites are safe places, right? We're going to be monitoring to make sure that folks are not turned away. So doing some stuff that's really fun, but doing it for a really important cause. If you are watching this recording and want to get involved, drop me an email, Lee, L-E-E, @ncan.org. We do still have some volunteer shifts today and tomorrow for that Orange County site. Then later in the week, on Saturday, we're hosting similar events in Mecklenburg County and in Wake County. In Wake County, we are partnering with our friends at the LGBT Center of Raleigh and VAE Raleigh. VAE Raleigh is an arts nonprofit organization in Raleigh, and they have like blown out the water with some of the entertainment. They've got a DJ. I heard a caricature artist may be showing up. I am going to be debuting / having the only opportunity to show off my Halloween costume this year, given that Halloween and large gatherings are canceled unless for safety reasons. So I think that is going to be super fun in Wake County. We're going to be at NC State Student Union all day during their voting hours. And then Dante on our team is going to be at East Mecklenburg High School on Saturday as well. He's also got a DJ come in, also got food. I think, again, these events are going to be really fun. Again, drop me a line if you are listening to this recording and want to get involved. And then finally on election day with VAE Raleigh and the LGBT Center of Raleigh, again, in the afternoon and in the closing hour of the polls, we're going to be supporting a site in Wake County as well. And again, welcome folks to reach out to me about that if you're interested in getting involved. Matt, anything else I should say about our PPE at the polls, early voting events, or day of events?
No, I think that about hits it for all of those. Lots of opportunity and lots of fun opportunity to get involved. So definitely, if you're interested, reach out, because this is an election season unlike anything we've seen. And I think because of that, we're doing some tactics that have never been seen either, which are really exciting. So if you want to get involved, get involved.
Yeah. And again, I think this work is really important. I think it's, the kind of work that's going to make sure we get the turnout that we really need to make sure that people fully participate in this election. So again, want to give a shout out to Blueprint North Carolina, who helped provide funding to make all of these events possible around the state. Matt, I will pass it to you to give all of our listeners at home on our YouTube channel update about how they can get involved in final GOTV efforts.
Great, all of the listeners. So we are closing in on election day. I think that I can share with everyone a guttural scream into the universe, because wow, what a year and what an election season. But the fight still continues. We still have 5 days. So if you are looking in ways to plug in and to get involved and to do your share as we lead up to election day, there are still opportunities to get involved. So of course you can do the in-person stuff as we mentioned. If that is something that's not super comfortable to you, we are going to be phone banking both tonight and Monday night. Tonight, we're going to be calling unregistered voters throughout North Carolina, just to really encourage them to use the early voting process, as they can same day register and vote until Saturday at 3 p.m. So join us tonight for that. It's a really cool system to where it's just going to send you through to a bunch of different numbers, and you don't have to wait and dial on your own. It'll just automatically pop up whenever you get to talk to people. It's a really fun, easy system, and these are easy conversations to have, because you're just encouraging folks who may not be registered to vote for the really easy ways that they can register and vote in the same day until Saturday. And then on Monday night, we'll be calling our network just for folks who have not voted yet, just to make sure that they have everything they need to vote on election day. We want to make sure that the HIV community is turning out in huge droves and everybody is getting their vote casted. So reach out to me at Matt, M-A-T-T, at ncaan.org if you want to get plugged into these events, either the in-person events or the virtual events. Everything is virtual for the phone banks. All you need is a computer and a set of headphones. Super easy, super fun. So let's do all we can to get turnout as high as we can and celebrate the election season coming to a close with just 5 more days. And I think that is it for my portion.
All right, well, fast and easy. This is such an important election. I know many of us are participating in a lot of different ways, so don't want to keep folks longer than we needed to, but especially think that info that Saylor gave was so critical and so helpful to making sure people have all the information if you haven't had the chance to vote yet. To the rest of the NCAN team, anything else you'd like to share for folks listening at home on our YouTube channel? All right, well, we are going to call that great webinar. Everybody get out and vote. This is probably one of the most important elections we've had in many, many years. So please participate. Thanks so much for being with us, and get out and vote. Bye, everybody.